All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO, joining us right now to discuss his campaign for re-election. Justice Paul Green, Texas Supreme Court. Welcome to the show, Justice.
Good morning, Chad. Thanks for being I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time this morning. Tell folks a little bit about your campaign and a little bit about your time at the Texas Supreme Court.
Sure. I've been on the court for now in my 12th year. I was 10 years on the Court of Appeals before that. And before that, I tried cases all around the state for 17 years. And I want to continue the work. There's still plenty of work to do, and I'm not ready to retire yet. I've been challenged by a fellow that shares the same last name as myself, Rick Green, and it's created some challenges in the campaign. The confusion factor that's obviously there. I should say that by comparison to my background and my record, my opponent doesn't practice law. He's never tried a case. He's never appealed a case. And I think that the people of Texas deserve somebody that actually knows what they're doing if they want to go to the highest civil court in the state.
Well, that could be quite confusing for voters out there, and especially in a race that, as you know, it doesn't get nearly the attention as just about all the other races that people are looking at.
That's true. You know, I think a lot of people, particularly this year, they're looking to go in and vote for a presidential candidate that they think will set the country back on the right track. And I think they maybe forget about some of the down-ballot races that are critically important to the everyday lives of Texans. And that's one of the things that we're trying to get out there.
Well, what do people need to know about this race and why, with you in the on the Supreme Court right now, why it needs to continue that way?
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court, we've actually got a very good court. It's very conservative. As you know, all of the statewide office holders were elected as Republicans. It's a very red state, and we work together very well on the court and getting the cases through. Now, we take cases that are important for Texans. We probably have 1,000 or 1,100 cases a year that people petition the court to have heard their appeals heard, and we only take about 10% of those. And so consequently, the ones that we take are very important, involving insurance law, family law, oil and gas law, water law, those kinds of things that are complex and deserve experienced attention. And so we're trying to get the message out that you can't overlook the Supreme Court races because they're important to people who live in this state.
Visiting with Justice Paul Green. You can visit his website to find out more. Texans for Justice PaulGreen.com, and it includes a video of you at the gun range too. So that
sure does.
Let's talk about the comparisons here, because as you said, there's another challenger in this race with the same last name, and that could create confusion. So go ahead and tell folks what they need to know about you versus your opponents in this race.
Well, I think that they need to know that, as I said, served on the court for, now I'm in my 12th year on the court running for a third term. I've got the background and experience that understands what we do and the kind of things that have to be done on the court. And, the problem with people like my opponent that have never actually tried a case or been practicing law is there's a lot of nuances that go on in the trial of a case. Error preservation, putting together a jury charge, just the way to appeal a case, and so forth. And if you come into the court and don't understand those things, don't understand how that works, it creates a real long, hard learning curve to have to overcome all of that. And now he claims he wants to be a constitutional watchdog, which is what we do every day. So I'm a little bit baffled by his concern about the constitutional moorings that the court has, because as I say, we are a very conservative court, and we have some people who certainly can't be criticized for their constitutional backgrounds.
Well, and you have a long list of endorsements on your website, including former Governor Rick Perry and many others here on your website. And so we encourage people to go and check that out for more information. Justice, before we let you go, tell folks, I guess, one last thing they need to know about this race for the Texas Supreme Court and why it's important.
Well, one of the things they need to know is that the difference between the two candidates here. Myself, with a long record of background of serving for the people of the state in the courts. My opponent, who does not have that background. The fact that there are two Greens running in the race, a lot of people will walk in and not understand that there are two of them, so we need to get that message out, and there is a difference between the two of us. And that the correct thing to do is to vote for Paul. I tell people, how do you remember that? As well, you can say, alphabetically, Paul comes ahead of Rick. You stand tall for Paul. Better call Paul. And the other thing I tell them is, well, there is a St. Paul, but there's no St. Rick. So, that's another way to remember that. But it's an experience question, and I encourage people to look at our backgrounds.
Well, I appreciate you giving us a call today and visiting with our listeners out there, because this is an important race and one that could be confusing to people when they head to the polls. And hopefully it's not one of those races where people just pick a name. And oftentimes, unfortunately, when you get these down ballot races, people just go, "Yeah, that sounds good," and they vote for whatever name comes up first, third, whatever their odd way of picking would be. And this is one of those races people need to be informed about. So we appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much, Chad. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one. That's Justice Paul Green. You can check out his website at TexansForJustice, paulgreen.com.